Welcome back to the Fire Up Connect radio talk show. This is your host, Foo, PR expert. Now I'm going to have the Senior Vice President of the Strategic Advisor Board, Shelby Jo Long. Shelby, are you here with us?
Nice to see you again. Excited to be here.
Thanks for coming here and to give some value to our audience. So if you can start by just a quick intro about yourself and what is that your superpower, right? And I want to know a little bit about.
Sure. In the Strategic Advisor Board, I serve as the Senior Vice President. But outside of that, I have my own business where I help people transform their expertise into an income stream. And further, as talking about my superpower, my background is in communication. I teach communication, which is all about the connection of the speaker and the audience. And so it feeds really well into the brand conversation because brand is how you create an emotional connection with your audience. So that's kind of my background and what I bring to the Strategic Advisor Board team.
Oh, excellent. So talking a little bit about branding, you have personally helped me with my branding and my brand message, and really was something that forced me to level up and get really to target that person. So before I was kind of like, oh, I can help everybody, and then you help me kind of like just focus on just that one ideal client avatar. So can you tell us a little bit about why this is so important and how do you help your clients and then people in your network with their branding and their message?
Absolutely. Love to. I think in the digital space, when we see so many messages every day, advertisements, people are promoting themselves online, entrepreneurs are trying to get clients, and we're in a very flooded space and a space that's full of a lot of noise anywhere in digital media. And what is most important as an audience member and as a speaker is creating that connection with your potential clients. And you as an entrepreneur, like me, we all as entrepreneurs, we can't solve everybody's problem, but we can solve one person's problem we focus our business around one issue. And nothing is more important than creating that emotional connection that needs that solution that you have. And that has everything to do with your brand. So that's what I do in my business is I try to help entrepreneurs clarify their brand so their message is more clear and they can create that instant match in digital media. And they can create that connection and the person knows that you're the one to solve their problems. So it's a very personalized, has a lot to do with your personal story and your own journey, but brand is really the most important thing. In addition to that, the brand, people always remember brand. They're not going to remember your service, but they'll remember the brand that they use, and they go back to their brand and they're loyal to their brand. And that all starts with the emotional connection you create in the articulation of your brand. So.
Great. I completely agree. And I mean, that's really what it'll help me to finally be able to consistently get people instead of like just trying to convince somebody to trust me, period, as a person, instead of just, look, I have the solution for this person, and that's what I do. I just go and like find this person, because when you create that perfect offer for that person, then it becomes like all about like just building the trust and the connection, that emotional connection. Because if you do your job right with your branding and your messaging and your offer, then it's just a no-brainer. It's just all about connecting with the person and getting them to trust you.
Phil, you're exactly right. It's all about trust, and it's all about how you can create that trust with your potential clients and how they can trust you to take you through the journey that you offer. So it's all about trust, all about emotional connection.
Yeah, I completely agree. So another thing that, like, after you have your brand message and everything, you start getting clients, you start growing. And another thing that I'm actually working on a lot is on how to be a better leader and how to have the emotional intelligence to understand the psychology of your process, your customer journey, and also how to teach it to other people. And that's actually in the stage that I'm at with my company. And I know that you all are helping me out a lot on all these things. And I want to want to know what kind of advice do you have for people that are looking to become better leaders and into maybe they might not have like that emotional intelligence that they need, and they're looking for like, how do I become more efficient on communicating with like prospects, with employees, or like anybody in your network really. So what kind of advice do you have for people when it comes to emotional intelligence and leadership?
Great question. I think you actually kind of answered the question for me. So you kind of led me to the answer, but it entirely has to do with your communication and how you address and how you engage and how you respond to your audience. And I think that fundamentally has to do with you as the speaker having a clear understanding of who your audience is, what their needs are, and how you can help them. And that just helps the conversation be more trustful and be more impactful, and understand that relationship can exist, and we can solve problems together. And I think that's fundamentally what it is. As far as advice about, I've been in the communication world for a long time. I've been teaching communication for a long time. It's easy to say practice makes perfect, but the more that you do it and the more conversations you have and the more that you're out there and making those offers, that's what helps refine your own communication skills. And there's not one type of communication skill that you need, because you need your own charisma behind that, because you are who people want to work with, and you have different communication qualities that make people connect to you. So I think a lot of it is the internal SWOT analysis, right? Figuring out what your strengths are, figuring out what your weaknesses are, and then thinking about ways of how you can make those two work together to become your unique offer and your unique charisma behind it. So I think there's a little bit of self-reflection involved with that too, and practice, and just not have it. You just similar to you don't have any fear about talking to people. You're out there making your offer. And that's what we have to do as entrepreneurs. And I think that's an important piece of communication and leadership.
Yeah, you touched on some really good points there. And something that stand out for me is when it comes to leadership, you have to understand a lot about yourself, because
Absolutely.
yeah, you can just like, oh, let me just throw money and try to hire somebody and they'll figure it out. Like, you have to understand, like, okay, I'm the leader of this company and I know that I have my strengths and I have my weaknesses. So how can I cash in on my strengths, and how can I partner or hire or network with the right people that will complement and actually help allow you to have an efficient business where the leadership and communication it's great, and there's not that problem of I don't know what to expect, right? Because it's a big thing.
Absolutely. And you're doing that in your business. You're like the master networker. And I find in the strategic advisor board, we just have more to offer, and we have more dynamics behind what we offer. And our solutions are just so much more dynamic and comprehensive, because we have that communication and leadership infrastructure to be able to move forward and to help find the right solutions for businesses. So that's the leadership structure, and the ability to participate and finding your client, making sure all of those things are connected, has everything to do with your success and the success of clients. So
Definitely. So last thing that I want to discuss with you is a lot of people lack purpose. That's something that I've seen around a lot. And I think that's the reason that I see like so many people quitting when it gets hard, because if you don't have that purpose, like it's just easy to quit, right? Because it's just you want that instant gratification. You rather the pain of like just being stuck for you it's smaller than the pain of the work that you have to do. So like when it comes to purpose, so how do you find your purpose, and how you help your clients? Because when it comes to branding and everything, you have to to touch on those points, because that's kind of part of the branding and your messaging, your personality. So can you tell me a little bit about how do you have these conversations about purpose with your clients and anybody in your network?
Well, first you got to gain the trust, right? That's where the first piece comes in, because talking about your purpose and discovering what you want and what you want to achieve, those are some big questions. And I work with people, and my own business is called the Expertise Project. So I help transition expertise to a different audience, to broaden your audience, broaden your influence, find different revenue streams, which fits just perfectly into the whole goal of the Strategic Advisor Board, which is scaling. But it is a good way for you to repurpose your expertise in a different area. But it takes some challenge to do that. And the big challenge is that you're stepping outside of your comfort zone, and you're stepping into a space that you don't know all the rules about yet. And you're stepping into a space where you might not have an instant community like you have in your work life. I experienced that when I transitioned from teaching in the college to being an entrepreneur and establishing my own business. And there's a lot of things that change and that are challenging. And it's a lot of the same principles, but then applying it in a new field is there's a lot to learn. And you've got to be ready for success, but then you've also got to be ready for failure and learning from that and readjusting and pivoting your business and your offer to match what works for the client's needs. So
Definitely.
It's a challenge to do that. And I would just encourage anybody to make that transition and to take that step and dig into your foundation.
Definitely. And that's why, like, all that you said there, it's based on like it's hard, and it's really like it takes a lot of courage, and because it's so hard in effort and courage, like you have to have that purpose. Like, look, I'm doing this because I want to live a life of fulfillment, and I want to live a life that I really have the impact, and I'm living out something that is
Sure.
it's good for me. So thanks for adding all that. Like, that was great. It's always like great to talk to you about branding and purpose, and how we both, got out of that like 9 to 5, and really was all about courage and purpose, and like really wanting to help people. So thanks for being here. And
thank you for having me. I appreciate that.
yeah, thank you. And that's probably will have you again in this show too, because we're always connected. And thanks for adding a lot of value to this. Now in the next segment, I'm gonna have Michael Sipe, and we're gonna be talking a lot about more like the physical aspect of health and how that plays a role on business, and also how automations play a big role on business success. So thanks Shelby again. And now we're going to a short break. Don't leave anywhere, and we'll be right back.